And we're live. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Bigfoot Odyssey. This is Wednesday Encounters. I'm your host, Carrie. With me, as always, producer, co-host, Miss Daniela Iolo. How are you, dear?
I'm doing good, thank you. Glad to be back.
Yes, it is good to be back. We were off. We were off for quite a while. It's been at least 2 weeks for this. And it is good to be back. Hope everybody had a good holiday. I got to be home for Christmas, but been out here since New Year in West Texas in the desert working. But hey, it's good to be back. We're going to get back on our regular show, schedule our regular program. But before we get started, and our guest hasn't showed up, he's going to be just a few minutes late, but we decided we'd go ahead and get started. I am going to try to tell you something. So, just real quick, just ask everybody to check out Big Fish Casino. You can find that in the App Store. It's real casino slots, and you can play those for free on your phone or your computer. That's Jackpot Magic Slots by Big Fish Games. Also, you can find a link in the description for My Patriot Supply, your own emergency food supply. And in the days of lockdown, not really a bad idea to maybe stock up on at least a couple of weeks worth of that. But you can use our special website, which is preparewithbigfoot.com. There's a link for that in the description. And we put special deals on there, and they change monthly. So check that out. All right, we're here. Our guest is here. He has showed up. Anthony, how you doing, man? Good to see you.
How you doing? Good, man. How are you?
Well, we're here, man. We're doing great. Brand new year, first show of the year. Actually, this is for us. So, how's you get the dogs put away, all that stuff?
Oh yeah. I got everything settled in. Went fishing today a little bit. I got two pit bulls, so they're a handful. I mean, they're kenneling, so they stay in their kennels and stuff.
Anthony, are you on your phone?
No, I'm on the laptop.
Okay. I don't know. You might have some other windows open or something. Your internet's just a little bit skippy.
All right, hold on.
It's not bad.
How about now?
Yeah, no, that's better.
Good, yeah.
It was just kind of cutting a little bit.
I had the.
And hey, look. Go ahead.
I had the email open. That's when I had that open.
Yeah, Danielle and I had a guest. We never did get him on. We were trying to work it out. And Danielle asked him if he had any windows open, and he looked around. He said, no, all the windows.
I can't.
Poor guy.
Can't.
Look. Hey,
I
look.
think we did get on it. I think we did get him on.
Did he finally make it?
Well,
he was a
it
great
didn't last
guy.
very long. Didn't last very long, unfortunately.
Well, you had that one guy that was supposed to be on the show. I know that I spoke to. Scott. Did you have him on yet or no?
We've had quite a few Scots on. I don't know. It's been a while though. I'm trying to get
gentleman that had he's having
here.
problems with them smacking his house and ripping the doors off the back and.
No, I haven't talked to him.
Okay, all right, yeah. Just...
I've been working a lot, so it's been hard for me to really email anybody back. Speaking of email, if you want to be a guest on the show. We have Sunday Encounters, Friday Late Show. Send your emails to yourbfstory@gmail.com. If you want to be a guest, and again, doesn't have to be some epic encounter face-to-face, just an experience that you had with what you believe to be one of these creatures. We'd like to have you on. Uh-oh, we lost him. We'd like to have you on, but you can email us here, yourbfstory@gmail.com. You don't have to show your face. You don't have to give your real name. I know how some people feel about that, but hey, like we say, we're not all equally situated. So it's there's this subject is still taboo enough that it can affect your life coming forward. So we do respect that, and but we still want to hear your story. I think it's important for people to hear and maybe get some confirmation for themselves. So, and we appreciate all those that do write in. And you can still email us at bigfootodyssey@gmail.com. But if you want to be a guest on the show specifically, email us there. All right, let's see if we can get Anthony back on here now.
Sorry.
Well,
there I am.
all right.
All right.
Well, look, let's see if we can't dive into this.
All right.
Why don't you just kind of start?
Go ahead.
Look, let me ask you a couple questions first.
Go ahead.
before you saw this thing, did you believe that Sasquatch existed?
No, no. I've been hunting basically all my life, like you have. I started at a young age in upstate New York. Deer hunting and stuff. That's about all we did. Then I moved to South Florida. I would say probably my freshman year in high school, and it was kind of a culture shock to me, being from New York, upstate New York, and then coming to Florida. But then I hooked up with some of the guys from school, and then we went on a hunting trip out in, oh God, Billy Swamp Safari. I don't know if you ever heard of it.
No.
Okay, well, it's off of Alligator Alley. All right.
Heard a lot about that place.
Right. And I met the guy that was doing the guides out there. His name was Mike. And we became really good friends. And started hanging out with him. He lived in West Palm Beach. So I would go up to West Palm Beach and go hunting in the same area that you and Mark go to, which I'm not going to mention the name.
That's fine.
Well, it's a management area. That's all I'll say. And I don't know. I've been out there more than a dozen times during the opening gun, and we would run dogs because we go hog hunting a lot. And we had a swamp buggy, and we were out there. My last time I ever went hunting, we were out there for opening day, and we were crunching palmettos, which they normally did with the swamp buggies, and it would scatter the hogs out from underneath them, and shooting them and catching them and stuff. And we took a break and we went off to this one area where there's a military contract company that designs airplanes. It's off to the left, and so the hogs would run through the game fence underneath, and they knew that we couldn't go in there. But when we parked to go have lunch, because we would park right on the edge and watch the open field area where the power lines were, and I spotted this thing out about, I don't know, about 150, 200 yards out. I didn't see it at first because there was kind of shrubs and stuff around, but until it stood up. And I was kind of looking at it, and I handed the rifle over to my buddy, and he was looking through the scope, and he was just like, "Now somebody's playing a joke on us." It's like, we're you got a bunch of guys out there running swamp buggies with dogs and rifles. I don't think anybody's going to put a suit on out there, but it looked like the same. From what I can see in the scope, it looked more Aborigine, like from Australia, like a caveman look. That's what it looked like to me. And it stood up, like I said, it grabbed the pole, and then it was there for about 10 minutes. We watched it, and it walked off to the right into the swamp. And everybody knew about it out there. It's like it wasn't a big secret. Everybody that was talking about it, when we mentioned it, it was no big deal to them. But to me, I've been out in the swamp out there half my life. Never ran across anything like this. I've been in water with alligators, everything. And to see this, no. I haven't even gone back out hunting. Now I live in Ocala.
Did it see you?
I'm sure it did, because it looked right at us when we pulled up in the swamp buggy. And those things are not quiet whatsoever. They're loud. It kind of took me back. I've seen some crazy stuff in my life, but that was the craziest I've ever seen. He was built like, how can I explain it? The wrestler Batista, the one that plays in Guardians of the Galaxy. Yeah.
Yeah, the purple guy.
Yeah, that's what he looked like, but he was big, tall. The top of his head, long hair, Kind of shortish hair on his arms and chest and legs. Most of the long hair was on his head and by his face, down by like his beard area, his chin. And it looked like a caveman to me. That's what it looked like. It didn't look like a monkey, didn't look like a gorilla, it looked like a caveman. So
That's a very common consensus, especially for that area. But when
right,
you're talking about the hair and what people have reported, you can pretty much run the gambit,
right,
from long to short to the way these things look and the variations there are just in that area alone. The
right.
variations,
Well,
it's it's
it
crazy.
was kind of like what you had Mark. You had him come on and they drew it. They drew marks. It kind of looked like that. That's what it looked like. It wasn't. I can't explain it. It wasn't. It didn't look like an ape to me. It looked like a caveman. That's exactly what it looked like.
Wow.
Like Aborigine. Like I couldn't explain it better. If you've seen an Aborigine from Australia, that's what exactly it looked like to me.
Aborigine.
Almost. Yes, that's it. That's what it looked like.
I got a picture of one right now that I call the basketball player. A few people have seen it, and that's what he looks like. He looks like an Aborigine. It's a 180-yard shot. If anybody wants to see it, you can hit me on Facebook Messenger, Kerry Arnold, and I'll send it to you.
Yeah,
But it's one of the better shots that we got. It's if I can ever get part 2 started, it's going to be going in there. But it's from that area that you were in.
yeah.
It's from that exact area.
And it's not. I mean, like everybody from the hunting camp, because everybody hangs out afterwards, and they weren't even shocked by it when we mentioned it. It was like, oh yeah, we seen him. I'm like, what? You know, like it was nothing to them, nothing to them.
I just don't understand that.
And well, because they live out there all their lives. These people are born and raised out there, so it's like common seeing a deer or a hog, I guess. You know, to them, you know, they don't bother them. They don't bother. It doesn't bother anybody.
Yeah, they do too.
Well, they do. I've heard. I had an experience right after that. We were out in Leggett Alley before they put the game fences up and blocked everything off, and we were off of Snake Road camping, and I was sleeping in my truck, and the other guys were sleeping in their tents. We were hog hunting out there. We knew one of the guys out there that was an Indian, and we used to go with him and go hog hunting and run the dogs. And something hit the side of my truck and put a dent in the side back quarter panel. Woke me up out of a dead sleep. And my buddy came out of the tent with his rifle, and he was just like, "Did you see that?" And I was like, "No, I didn't see anything. It woke me up." Well, something was standing in front of his tent, he said, that he couldn't make out. I mean, they're all over the place, man. They're even up here by me. The sightings up here are crazy up here, you know. And I'm literally, I could spit to the forest where I live. That's how close I am.
Well, the thing about it is we don't know enough about them to really trust them.
No.
And there's things that I hear that kind of make me raise my eyebrows when I hear about the 2 campers that went missing on the same night from 2 different campgrounds that they still have not found a trace of.
Was
You
that
know,
over?
they found Brian Laundrie
Oh,
after
yeah. Please.
so many weeks. You know, with the technology that we have today, it is almost impossible to go completely and totally missing without a trace.
No, that's true. That's very true. You know,
And
even
both
out,
of these were on the same night. And the only common denominator, they both had handguns.
And where was this at?
Right
Where
there.
was this? Right
Right
where we
there.
were?
Yes, sir.
That's crazy.
2016.
I didn't even know about that. Didn't even know about that.
Yeah.
And we were out there. I mean, we would go out there for general gun. We would do cleanup because after the hunting season was over, you know, we'd go out and clean the area up. And a lot of guys would leave busted out trailers out there and campers and stuff, so we'd haul them off. Even the game wardens out there, My belief, I think they know what's out there.
Some
Because,
of them
yeah, because even the game wardens were just like, they kind of brushed it off. Like it wasn't even a big deal to them. And I'm like, well, if you got a guy running around in a monkey suit out there, come on. They're in general gun? That's kind of stupid. That's not
do.
smart thing to
The
do.
retired FWC officers that Mark talked to that called him said they average about 5 sightings. And then that's the actual sightings.
Right.
But just the people that come to them with pictures of tracks that they found.
Right.
They said it's probably 10 times that a
No,
month. This is it.
and-
This is every month.
And there's, out in that area, I'm sure you know, and Mark knows, there's big mounds. You know
Yeah.
about the mounds out there. Okay. And from what I was told, those are Indian burial mounds. That's what I was told.
They got cameras on that stuff.
Okay. That's why we would never go in there, in that area to hunt. Some guys would. Some guys would go in that area to hunt. Me personally and the other guy I was with, no, we wouldn't go in there. But I've been all over that place out there, all over it, by airboat and swamp buggy. And I've seen some crazy stuff out there. Right after Hurricane Andrew, I don't know if you're familiar with that. They had
Oh yeah.
a bunch
I had
of
friends that went down there to rebuild after that, 92.
right, a bunch of ocelots, the cats, Brazilian cats from the rainforest. They got loose, and there was a bunch of them out there walking around. I mean, they found crocodiles out there, everything.
Still there.
Oh yeah,
I think that's where a lot of the Burmese and ball python population came from
right.
there.
Oh,
And plus people letting them go once they
they're-
get too big.
They are so overpopulated with iguanas and snakes down in that area. It's crazy. And I used to live there. And it's nuts. It's nuts.
Iguanas are destroying the habitat.
You have no idea. It's just crazy. But seeing that thing out there, I have never been out hunting again. That changed my whole outlook towards hunting.
Well, I mean, in the moment when you saw it, you weren't the only one that saw this thing, right?
No, I was with my buddy. He's seen it too.
Okay, and you said it was pretty far off, right? A couple hundred yards.
About I'm going to estimate about 150 yards out.
Okay,
Maybe
it's not,
maybe 200.
not far for a scope.
No. I could make out its face. I can tell you that. I can make out its face. And
Did you think you were being messed with? You did. You thought you were being messed with, right? Somebody in a
because-
suit or something?
Yeah, because all the guys would play jokes out there on everybody, but that's a little bit extreme.
Yeah, you're gonna get shot.
Right. And I don't think
During hunting
anybody,
season.
right, I don't think anybody in our group would do something like that. But there were tracks. I mean, the way, when we pulled up to the pole after it took off, where his hand was, he was about 10 foot. His hand was leveled with his head, holding on to one of the poles. And he was about 10 foot. That's when we looked at each other and we were like, nah. That's just crazy. I mean, a scope, when you're looking through a scope, you're only getting a certain amount of geometry what you're looking at. You'd have to, I mean, like when we pulled up to it, I could see where his hand was on the pole. He was about 10 foot. Easily. Maybe less, maybe a little bit more. But I'd never been back out there. Even when I moved up here, I lived on 4 acres in it back to the Ocala National Forest, man, and I loved to hunt. Never went back out. Just never went back out. I don't think there's a gun big enough to even take this thing. I'll be honest with you. I had a 308, and I was just like,
You could have got him.
with the
308?
308.
Yeah, if it'll kill a cow,
Yeah, but
yeah.
that thing was massive. When I seen it, I mean, the body structure alone, I was just like, man, that's big, And I've seen some big black bears up here and stuff but this thing was massive, totally massive.
Yeah, there's some big boys in there. There's
How
some things that
how-
Zasky's been catching. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
How do they get that big? That's the whole thing.
Genetic, just genetic.
I mean,
Look at look at a 2,000-pound cow. Don't need to eat them at grass.
no, it's true.
So it's
I mean,
just genetic.
I mean, there's a lot of stuff out there for them to eat. There's wild nectarines and oranges and mango trees and everything out there.
Well, that's one thing I never thought was a really good argument was, well, something that big couldn't survive because they would have to eat this many calories a day. And this is, this is assuming a lot about a creature we know nothing about.
Right.
We're people assuming what the metabolism of this creature is,
Right.
and they may be able to control their own metabolic rate. And there's a lot of energy conservation going on there with, just the way they sit still apparently all the time and not moving around during the day very much.
Right.
Seems to be that way anyway.
And then you guys were out there. I mean, I watch Mark every so often when I can. And he was talking about there was interference. And he got sick one time, I guess.
Oh yeah. Got it on video.
Right. And I've seen that. And I've heard stories about it. It's never and some of the, like, trying to say this nicely without sounding mean. Some of the people that have supposedly relationships with these things, I don't know, man. That to me is just a little bit.
Well, look, they may be.
Right.
We don't know. Like we talk about the variants, we don't know what it. They may all be the same species, but we don't know. There could be some subspecies.
Right.
There could be a higher order
Right.
of these creatures that kind of hang together, and they are nice. Plus, you're talking about something that has the intelligence to be self-aware, apparently.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And when you're self-aware, you can essentially bypass your own natural drives.
Oh yeah. I mean, I know what Mark and you have said. These things. Mark and his wife Melanie. They know their limits with them, like he said.
They've learned.
Right. I never believed in it before. Now I do. It's just a little bit. It's a little bit crazy for me to, like you, to go out there and start interacting with them.
Well, you've seen it. You don't have to believe.
Right. And I don't need to be, out there doing what I need to do and trying to find them. I know they're out there. I've seen one. I've had experiences with another one. And it's a sad story. It's sad that nobody. It's like certain animals are extinct, and all of a sudden they're popping back up in this world. The coelacanth was supposed to be extinct 2 million years ago. They're it off the coast of Japan now. I mean,
Yeah.
giant squid. I mean, come on. Even Linda Ketchum, the lady that did the DNA on it,
Melba.
Ketchum, okay.
Yeah.
She did DNA on it, and no one believes this woman. Which I never understood, because she did all the 9/11 bodies, all the remains. She was the head genetics, for that. She had.
There are a lot of things that were done wrong there, but the results, it's hard to argue with, and you'll hear geneticists talk about contamination, and I think that's being highly, highly disingenuous when you talk about contamination, because now the way they vortex samples and the way they handle DNA, you can tell by looking at the overlying peaks if it's contaminated or not. And if that is not there, the problem is the mitochondrial human DNA side of it. And I think that's the problem science has with all of it, is the human aspect to this. They have to keep the order of evolution the way it is and the way it's been taught for the last 200 years. And this kind of steps on that. When you bring this creature into the equation, is it a split off? Is it an offshoot? Who knows? If you even believe in all evolution and all those things, and I have my doubts about it. certain aspects of it, especially when it comes to transitional species, because you just don't seem to find those.
And they said, well, like I was listening to Mark and you a couple shows ago. You know, even there's one strand of DNA that they can't identify in this.
Yeah,
you know,
several.
You know,
actually.
Right. So I mean, it's just a. You know, there's a lot of people that know that they're out there. The government knows that they're out there. I mean, it's no secret. And people. It's even to talk about. My fiance thinks I'm crazy. She thinks.
Sure. That's the conditioning. It's the way we've all been conditioned. That watch a hoax video, or watch a video where you see the Sasquatch. And I saw one today. It was on the top 20. I was watching while I was doing my work. And there's this creature. He's 60 feet away. You can see him through the trees, and he's just kind of kicking around and walking between the trees and all that. Look, man, you got to treat stuff like that like milk that's a week past its date. Do not buy it, because that is just not, especially if they're aware that you're there. Normal Sasquatch behavior is to hide. There's a reason we don't have this good video evidence of them, because they just have this ability to hide and stay away from us. I look at all those sideways. It may be true. The one I saw was walking through the woods, but he was still being slick. He wasn't out in the open. He never did get out in the open. He only ever got in one little gap where I could see him good.
Right.
So that's, to me, that kind of behavior is not in keeping with us not having the good video evidence that we should have, if that were real. And that's the problem. People have their own idea of the way they think these creatures should be. If they exist, this is the way they'll be. So this is how we'll fake it. Is this way. We'll just have them up walking through the woods. Well, that's just not how they act. And I think it's a good marker for people looking at videos to determine whether or not it's a hoax. I know there's plenty of places out there that try to outline these hoaxes themselves, and more power to them if that's what they want to do. I think people should decide for themselves what's what and what isn't. I've got my own opinions about things, and people don't believe it and don't buy it, so be it.
I'll tell you what, Mark has the most good video and picture evidence I've ever seen in my life.
Very compelling.
I mean, very. Compared to other people that have been doing this way longer than him.
That's why I work with Mark.
Exactly. And he's right to the point. To me, I just don't understand it. If you're doing this for 25 years, you don't have a good video or picture of it. Meanwhile, Mark's been only doing it for 5 to 6 years. And he's getting these pictures and videos of these things in the trees. Come on. Either somebody doesn't want us to know something, or, Mark's just.
Well, I think part of that is having this epiphany like he had, and understanding and realizing what to look for. Right. And that when he did see this thing, he knew they were out there. Mm-hmm. And that they must be doing this. So between he and Melanie just kind of figuring it out through the years, Mark and I are coming together to do some work. We're actually making another YouTube channel, and it's going to be called Impossible with a question mark at the end of it. And we're going to be traveling around, and Bigfoot Odyssey is going to do what we do. We'll tell the story, and Crypto Reality is going to do the investigation. So we'll just kind of merge what we're doing. We're going down to do Donnie Miller's story at the end of this month. I've already talked to him. We're getting our equipment together for that now, and the next 168 we're going to be doing at the end of March.
Okay.
Taking about 40 some odd people down there to do that again. So, somebody's got to do it. Somebody has to get out there and do it. And we just happen to be fortunate enough to have the means and opportunity to do it. So Mark and we're coming together. We're not going to put it on Bigfoot Odyssey. We're not going to put it on Crypto Reality. We're going to put it in a neutral place for you guys to watch out for. So when that gets created, we'll let everybody know so you can go over and subscribe. And we'll probably do some live shows there just to get our views going and our subscriber count to where it needs to be before we start putting those shows on there. So I just wanted to bring that up real quick, not to cut you off. Cool. I think Daniela has a question or two.
Well, I'm just, kind of wondering, all that time you spent out there, how can you imagine now never seeing one of those things?
I have no idea. I've never ran into
It's
one, never seen tracks. Always heard stories from the other guys, and I used to laugh it off, like, you know, like it was nothing. Um,
so
it's
now you're not going to go out at all. Do you go out with friends, or would you go out
no.
with a friend?
I mean, I haven't been hunting since then. That kind of shook me up.
Hmm.
That really shook me up. Knowing that's, you got this 10-foot creature or being out there that basically is the best in hide and seek that you can, imagine, and not even know it's standing next to you. I've been, like I said, I've been in that swamp area out there where Carrie and Mark go, and it's pretty nasty. I've been in that water out there up to my waist, running dogs down and stuff, and it's never ran across something like that. Never, never. Um,
It
it's
just shows
just
you, doesn't it, that there's lots of people who say that they go out hunting all the time, never ever seen one, but
exactly,
it can just happen. There's
exactly,
no rhyme or
and
reason, is there? There's no, you can't
no,
plan it.
and I carry all the time, like Carrie does.
Believe
Even
it.
when I'm, yeah, even when I lived in, my 4 acres, I always, even, when I go to the store, and when I carry, um, like I said to it's something that you would not expect. It's like seeing an alien almost. Well,
Hmm.
I've never seen one, you know. So, I mean, when I seen this thing, it kind of like blew me away a little bit, because if
Definitely
it was a,
equatable.
yeah, if it was a costume or makeup, believe me, somebody did a really good job of it, and I got a good facial view of it through the scope.
Mm.
Um, it
How do you
was just,
feel if you'd have, been aware of these things, even if you did start watching, or listening to Sasquatch Chronicles or
I would
watching
have to
some?
I would have to see one or
Mm.
encounter one. I wouldn't have believed it. I wouldn't have believed it. You know, would not have believed it. I mean, like I said, I've been hunting all my life. Never ran into anything like this. Never. Like these people have these things coming to their house, beating their house up, ripping doors off the back, throwing rocks at them. I mean, come on. I mean, I'd be the first one out there with a weapon. I mean, really. It's it's just crazy that these people are going through this stuff. I'm talking to a guy right now that lives right over in Florida, right here in the Panhandle. I think Carrie's talked to him. This guy's scared out of his mind. It
Mm.
try to break into his house.
No, I haven't talked to him yet. I don't think. Or if I have, I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't know. I sent you his information, but I mean, I just spoke to him the other day.
I haven't had a lot of time to do much.
I know you've been busy. I know, man. Believe me, I know. But he's scared out of his mind. Him and his wife. They're just scared out of their mind. This thing is like, and keeps telling me, he goes, "This thing's trying to kill me." I'm like, "Why?" And he's like, "I don't know. He just
Know that
doesn't like
feeling.
me." He goes, "I just doesn't like me." And he says there's 5 of them on his property, but only one of them really wants to hurt him. You know, it's just nuts. This guy
It feels.
wants. Go
Mm.
ahead.
I
I'm
just.
sorry, D.
Well, we've had the lady on with her son. Was it Terry? And
Yeah.
Oh no, no,
son.
Ocala. Right. She lives here in Ocala.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's like she's given in to them. It felt like she started to retreat. She parked right next to the door. She gets out the
Right.
car. She's straight in the house. And I think they, if they're able to intimidate, they're going to do whatever they can. And I feel like if people push back a little bit,
Right.
put some cameras out or lights or something, and try and take back, because this is their own property, people's
Right.
property.
Right.
And I know the fear. I can imagine how scared you would be, but
And
if they
and
wanted
she's
to get them, they would. If they wanted to, if these Bigfoot wanted to get these people, I'm pretty sure they would.
right, and she's
Uh, uh,
basically by herself, from what I understood. Just her son, and the boyfriend.
mm,
I mean, it's crazy. Like I said, I just spoke to this guy, and he's just like, man, you need to come up here and help me, and this and that, and blah, blah, blah. I said, well, you need to get in touch with Kerry. I said, he's got people that know how to do all this stuff. I said, I mean, I'll come up and help you as much as I can. I mean, I had a good, we've hit it off, me and him, when we talk all the time. You know, he basically wants to kill this thing. That's what he wants to do.
Send me his number again.
All right.
Anthony.
You know, I will.
This, to me, I think it is the reaction. I don't think they really want to hurt us.
Right.
Or kill us unless we do step over that line. I think
Right.
there is that, that level of tolerance there. But I think it's our reaction
Well,
in some
he's-
cases.
he-
Because we
he's-
react to them the way we react to them is what gets them off. It's almost like
Right.
like entertaining to them to see us. So my suggestion would be not to react to it at all. Like you just
Well,
don't hear it, you don't see
he's-
it, just ignore
He's
it.
been setting off, like he told me, because he threw a couple of, from what he told me, he threw a couple of M80s at this thing. So I'm like, that's not a good idea. I said, that's not smart.
Yeah, I'd probably want to kill him too.
No, and basically, yeah. But this how it happened right after it ripped the door off. I mean, he showed me pictures of this, of it. I mean, he goes to throw the garbage out. This thing's standing 10 feet away from him in the woods at night. And you can see the eye glow. I mean, he showed me pictures. And I'm like, you need to carry a rifle with you or something. I mean, if he's had giant rocks thrown at him. And he's, like I said, and you started doing this stuff to it afterwards? He goes, yeah, because it won't leave me alone. It will not leave us alone. He was looking in the window at his wife one night. He called me one night and told me he just went out to throw the garbage out. Came back in, he got pictures of it staring at him. I mean, it's crazy. It's just nuts. I just couldn't understand how to live like that. Walk out of your house and you got to be a slave living in your house. And you got these things, whatever they're doing, provoking you or playing games with you. Yeah, that would kind of freak me out too.
Well, and I just saw a comment from Anna here talking about it, that we should leave them, that it's their land, and I disagree. It is not their land. It's ours. We should be able to cohabitate.
Right.
And I think a big problem here is us not knowing enough about them. And that all comes down to these things being kept in the dark by whoever. It just doesn't make the mainstream. But now it's getting to the point now, especially with 7.9 billion people on the planet, and about 80% of those have access to social media. Everybody's got a voice.
Well, it's like you understand. You're a Christian, I assume, right?
Yes.
Okay, so am I. If this ever came out that this branched off from from the caveman era, I mean, and these things are still out there roaming around in the swamp and the woods. I mean, that would be devastating. Right, that would be.
But that doesn't make it any less true.
No.
It's still the truth.
Exactly.
And that should be known. We should know everything we can possibly know.
Right.
And work things out from there. Go from there. There's laws that can be put in place. They do it for every other animal out there. Whether you look at this creature as an animal or not, it's something that lives in the woods.
Right.
Okay. There are laws on the books for everything out there. These can be included in that. And it's going to be that way. It's just a matter of time. The truth stands the test of time. It always does. And this is going to come out in one way or another. Someone sent me a message about NASA hiring 24 theologians to prepare people for aliens, and it wasn't that. What they're doing is they're studying how they think the public will react. Look, it may be in preparation, but that's not how it's being put forward. That's just how it's being taken. And the same thing is going to happen with this creature. What we are beginning to see is more of these new, where they find these new ancient man skulls, dragon man, and the Denisovans. They did this. I think this is, to me, it's just kind of padding what's to come, because it's going to happen. We're going to do everything we can do we're not going to prove it, but just to get something good enough to convince people that yes, these creatures are out there, and they're just so hard to catch on film and to catch on camera.
Yeah,
But it's the stories. It's the stories like yours, like anyone else that's had any kind of interaction with these things that is going to get people to pay attention more. And the more people that are paying attention, the more they're going to have their own experience and want to convince them of anything.
Right. It's just you know, like I was saying, it's just the way I was taught and to believe in the Bible and everything else. It doesn't make any sense to me. It really doesn't. Like you said, it's eventually going to come out. I hope I'm around to see it when it comes out. You know, to throw it in their faces and go, ha ha, you know, it's true. But it's just nuts the way these things act. As far as communicating or even having interactions with other people, you know, it's just like when you guys were out there. Did you? I mean, I don't think you really talked about it. How did you feel when you were out there?
Oh, you couldn't have drove a nail up my butt the whole time.
I can imagine.
There was, especially the first day. Once I got out there, I was fine. But there's it's not a fear of something's going to get me.
Right.
For me, that's not it.
Right.
I wasn't afraid of that.
Me either. I'm not afraid of that.
It's this reaction that I can't control that happens to me, that my body just goes through.
And
it still happens every now and then too.
Right. And I have PTSD, but not from that. And it never really bothered me, and it doesn't. I mean, it's just like I don't want to run into one of these things again. I mean, kind of like what you said. I don't want to run into them. It's just, you know, I've been in some hairy situations, and I just don't. To me, that's not normal to see one of these things out there.
No. Well, it because of how we were conditioned. It should be seen as a normal thing.
Right.
And hey, thank you to Long Island Bigfoot, Mike. Appreciate that, buddy. And Head Carter also. Thank you. Gave us our first super sticker of the year. Thank you very much for that. Yeah, no, it's a shame, is what it is, that it's kept. I knew what Bigfoot was. I had heard of Sasquatch before, and probably even thought it was possible.
Right.
But it wasn't around where I was. You know,
No.
even though I'd heard the stories growing up about boogers, and just thought it was, that's all I thought they were just stories, and had every reason to believe that. If we could ever get it to be mainstream, not in a satirical fashion the way it is now, because anything mainstream that has anything to do with Sasquatch is made fun of.
Oh yeah, I see some of these shows I just laugh at. You know, there's one on, the one on Animal Planet, which I'm not going to mention.
They're trying. They're trying. They are, but they're bound by these producers that are trying to make entertainment.
Exactly.
Okay? We'll never go that route. The only route I would ever consider going is Netflix, and that's only if I had control of everything. But I never thought I would be in a situation where I would want to go look for these things ever.
And I still do. I mean, it's not
I've
that
been
I don't
dragged into it.
I don't want to. I mean, it's like I told you, that one lady is having the problem here in Ocala. Would I help her? Yeah, I'd probably help her with it. Do what I needed to do to help her with it. You don't, for somebody to live in fear like that, that's crazy. You know, and she has no help doing it. I mean, there's certain ways you can get these things off your property to leave you alone, which I know of. It's like one of the guys I hung out with that was an Indian. There's certain plants you could put around your house to keep these things off your property.
Do you know what they are? Do you remember what that was?
I have to look it up. He sent it to me. They're poisonous to animals and humans.
Well, that might not be good if you got kids.
Right, but basically, he says you put these things around their house, They won't come on the property, and they're I got to
That
pull
is
up.
interesting.
I got to pull up the 2 plants here in Florida. You can put out there.
But how could you really know that, though?
That's
Just
the whole
because you
thing.
have them out and they don't come around, that may be true for this one individual.
Right.
And that's another problem with this subject, and people that look into it and people that go out and look for them is they learn this one thing about this one individual, and it becomes ubiquitous. All of them do this.
Right.
And that
Right.
it's not, it doesn't seem to be on the level with the information that we get from a lot of people. It just seems there's so much diversity there that I don't think there's one thing you can do that's going to work on all of them. But I could be wrong. I could be wrong. It just,
Well, yeah,
my
I
opinion.
mean, how do you get these things off your property? That's the whole thing. How do you get them to stop coming around?
Ignore
You
'em.
know, exactly. Like that one. I listened to one lady that was on a show. She's feeding these things, and I'm like, no, you don't. I mean, no. I mean,
There may not be anything wrong with it to a degree of doing that. I mean, you can earn trust with any animal.
right.
There are people that earn trust with bears and have deer to come up and eat out of their hand. Maybe it's true with these creatures too, that there's a level of trust that can be earned there. But I think they watch us enough to know our notions and our tendencies enough
Right.
not to trust us.
And
with
she
any-
said she was talking about there's like we have good humans and bad humans, which we've all ran into. Okay. And she said that. She says there's bad ones and there's good ones. And so far, she's been lucky and had interactions with good ones on her property. You know, and I believe that. I believe there's bad. I've seen evil. Believe me, I've seen evil. I've looked at it.
Yeah, that's not mutually exclusive.
Right.
Me personally, I don't think these creatures are grounded in morality one way or the other. I think it's all about survival and whatever that takes.
Right.
But I do think there is a vindictive nature to them. Can be.
Right.
You
Right,
step
I
over that
agree.
line, I think they'll lash
Right.
back.
Well, they have. They have.
Absolutely.
There's numerous stories they have doing it.
And the thing about feeding them is
well,
not feeding them, but when you stop.
there's that one. I don't know if you're familiar with that one project that they got going on. It's called Area X. Have you heard about that?
I've been out of it for so long, man.
Out in Georgia. These guys are all former military or police officers, and they're trying to conserve and bring conservation to these creatures. But the only way they're going to do it, and they said it, they have to have a body. And they have guys out there that want to shoot one to bring it out to the public, so the government can't deny it. And I'm trying to think of the name of the group.
But then still, they've got to test it, haven't it? It's got to be tested. It's got to be proved that it's physical.
Well,
it is what it is, and
Right.
there's a lot to it.
Right.
There's a whole load of procedures for
Right.
something to be declared.
And I'll be honest,
Um,
that's the only way. I mean, like Mark Zasky and Kerry, they can get the best pictures and videos in the world. You're still going to have people that are going to be, but have their doubts.
Sure. Absolutely.
Okay, unless there's a body present, and I believe that if there's a body brought for everyone to see, okay, this is what's going on. This is what it is, such and such, and that's it. Just like back in the 1900s, they thought gorillas were a tall tale out in Africa. They never even thought they existed, until somebody brought it up. And now gorillas are in zoos and everywhere else. But I mean, that's the whole thing. You need a body to make people understand and believe that, okay, this thing's out there, this is real. And unfortunately, it's sad to say. That's how we think. You could tell somebody 1,000 times, "Hey, I seen this thing. I did. This is what's going on." Yeah, okay. They're not going to believe you. They're not going to believe you until you have a body present and say, "Okay, this is what's going on. Here's the body. This is what it is." Okay. Be aware when you go out into the woods or swamp area, they live and cohabitate with us in these areas. You know, just like black bears and gators and everything else. And you get a lot of people that are skeptical. You know, I don't believe they're apes. I'll be honest with you. All these people think that they're apes and they're half ape and half gorilla, whatever it is. No.
Depends on how you view that. You know, technically we're apes.
Well,
So,
yeah. I mean, but this thing, like I said, looked like a caveman, Gary.
Yeah, no, that's what I saw. Donnie Miller, same thing. That's what we see in the images.
Right. It was big. It was just, it blew me away. It just totally blew me away. You know,
Rightfully so.
it just like the shock of it all, just seeing this thing standing there. And it didn't even run. It just walked off gradually into the swamp. That's all it did.
I think you were fortunate. I think you were fortunate to have a pad of people around you downplaying it. I think if you hadn't had that, you might have gone inside your head in the moment a little bit more, and it might have affected you a lot worse.
Well, I mean, the guys that were out there with me, like I said, they born and raised out in the area. And
So
you
they
know
knew.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know the area. The area is very, very, a lot of swamp out there.
It's rough.
Right.
It's a rough place.
And I lived out there. I lived out in West Palm Beach. I moved in with my buddy. And we would go, like I said, every hunting season we would head out to that area. That was our thing. And I used to love to go turkey hunting. Don't do it anymore. And they, like, when we told them what we seen, everybody around the campfire, you know, they didn't laugh at us. One guy that was out there with us, his wife, says, "Oh yeah, we've seen it." Like it was nothing. And I'm like, "Really?" She goes, "Oh yeah, they're out here." She goes, "Even when I was a kid, you know, my grandfather would tell us stories about it." And these are old Florida crackers, and not to get construed with crackers. Florida crackers, a cowboy from Florida. That's what they called them.
Yeah. Whip
A lot
crackers.
right. A lot of people don't realize that. But she would tell us stories too, even her husband. And we had a lot of old timers out there with us. You know, and they're like, "Oh yeah, they're all over the place out here." I'm like, "Really?" You know, it's like nothing to them. Because yeah, if you leave them alone, they'll leave you alone.
That's probably
Like
true
what?
for the most
Well,
part.
right.
The normal person with a cognitive, rational brain is not going off trail in that place.
No.
Simply for the alligators that are out there.
And
You know,
they're
there's 10, 12 footers out there that they'll disappear you real quick.
yeah, they're plentiful out there. I can tell you that. They're plentiful up there. But in that area alone, I mean, they've caught some crazy stuff. Like I said, you know, ocelots, crocodiles. Hell, they had a Lion Country Safari was out in that. You know, I don't even know if it's still open. When they had the hurricane, one of the lions got loose. It was roaming out there. They had to catch it. I mean, can you imagine hunting and seeing a friggin' lion out there? You've been like, huh?
I think it would probably be about the same as running into a Sasquatch.
Exactly.
You know, you'd probably think that you were done for.
Right. I mean, they've had some crazy stuff, and I've talked to the game wardens out there. I've seen it firsthand, even pictures, I've seen them pull up a crocodile. A crocodile. In real, come on. You know, there's a lot of things out there that just blow your mind.
Here's something interesting from Maggie Dorr. Says, I wonder if the Sasquatch recognized the other people around him, therefore didn't harass him. If he had been by himself, it may have been different.
Yeah,
Maybe far enough away, but that might have been the case where he just kind of said, "Oh, hey, there are those guys. Let me get out of here, and I know they got guns."
Well, yeah, I'm on a swamp.
Look, whether you think a gun will kill them or not, it's still gonna hurt.
Well,
It
I
ain't
can
gonna
tell you
feel
what. Yeah, that 308. I believe it would. I don't want to take the chance and piss it off, but you know.
There's not a bone in the animal kingdom that can handle a high-powered rifle like that.
Exactly.
You know, a 160 grain plus bullet traveling at 3,000 feet per second, 2,500 feet per second. It's going to go through whatever.
And everybody would laugh at us too because we're like, man, why you like my buddy was carrying a 7mm Magnum.
That's what I shot.
Right, and everybody's like, why are you carrying such a big round? Well, if anybody knows, when you hunt hogs, those things do not go down
Yep.
at all. And that's why everybody would laugh at us. You guys are carrying, I'm carrying a 308, he's carrying a 7mm Magnum. And I'm like, well, he goes, that's a little bit overpowering, isn't it? I'm like, well, I like to, when I shoot it, I like to make sure it goes down. I don't have to track it. So.
Here's Gary Jones says, it's Kerry, by the way. If you really are Christian, Carrie, how come you don't know your Bible and know that God says that these beasts will come out of the woods at the end of time and kill 1/3 of mankind? Because, Gary, we don't know that those are the beasts that that's talking about. And aside from that, I'll never refer to any authority that someone else may not believe in. So that's why.
I stirred the
because
pot on
that may
one.
not be the beast they're talking about. This may be just something else. There's plenty of creatures out there that are not in the Bible.
Right.
So, and this just may be one of them.
Well,
So that's where I leave.
I didn't mean to stir the pot on that. That was.
Nah, hey, look, is what it is. I try to reply.
And not everybody's
understand.
not everybody's coming from a religious aspect. I mean, we
Right.
don't
Sure.
talk about religion when we're talking about bears
Right.
or giraffes or
Right,
whatever,
right.
hogs. So for me, if for the most part, these creatures just get on with their lives. They hunt, they sleep, they do whatever they need to do,
Right.
just like any other animal out there. Apart from the fact that we don't know what this thing is. And it just
Exactly.
seems like there's those occasions where people are bumping into them or they cross the line or whatever. But for me, for the most part, I think these things just want to get on and do what they want to do. And it's our perception, our fear of the unknown, of what it is, that stops people in the tracks.
Yeah.
to-
And I'm not
into
downing
around.
you, Gary, because that's what you do believe. You may be 100% correct.
Right.
My whole approach to this is there are these creatures out there, and people deserve to know it.
Right.
What they are, what they do, I could care less about any of those things. That they are is really all I care about, and getting that information to others and getting them to at least pay attention
Exactly.
to the possibility. You ain't got to believe any of it to
No,
pay attention to the possibility when you're out there and you're having some kind of experience that you can't explain, something that's not in keeping with your everyday reality.
Right.
Just consider that it might be one of these creatures, because it might be. That's all I'm here for. That's
I
it.
got a question for Daniela.
Mhm.
When do you get into Florida or going by Cary so you can get your experience?
Yeah, when you come.
Get my experience. I'm not sure I want an experience. Hopefully soon,
You gotta get initiated somehow. So
I
might as
know,
well
I
do
know.
it,
I've got to see one. Got to get thrown in
You're-
the deep end. I probably
you-
would. That would be my, I'd be cursed with it, wouldn't I? Get over there.
Hey, you could at least say you went.
Right.
Yeah,
At
definitely.
least it experience something.
Yeah, I
You're
will.
you're in England, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah, that's not.
I
an
will
easy-
be part of a 168 at some point
Yeah,
in the
that would
flesh.
be. I would like Carrie. If you need any more help, man, I'd love to go with you on down there too.
Yeah, well, we're going back into March, so just holler at me. We'll get together.
will.
Since you already live there and know the area, it'd probably be
Yeah.
advantageous to have you there.
Yeah.
But we've got we're ramping up. We're getting ready for it. I'm going to
Okay.
be getting with everyone that I know for sure is going now.
Okay.
Like I said, we got a lot of equipment to order. We've reached the end of our hour, by the way.
All right, man.
But you're
I'll
we
send
definitely.
you. I'll
ahead.
send you that guy's information.
Yes,
as soon
please
as we
do.
Get off here. I'll text it to you.
But hey, man, look, you're welcome back anytime. I'd like to get you on, sit in with me and Brad one night on the late show.
Yeah, yeah.
Brad and I will be back this Friday night. We're gonna have Robert McGrath is gonna be on with Brad and I this Friday night. He's
Okay.
got some interesting stuff to talk about. So that'll be 9:00 p.m. Central. And again, check out Big Fish Casino
All right.
in the App Store. That's not Big Fish Casino. I'm sorry. Jackpot Magic slots. You can play that on your phone. You can play it on your computer. You can play for free. It's a game by Big Fish. You can find that in the App Store. And check out the links in the description for My Patriot Supply. Get your emergency food supply lasts up to 25 years. You can store this stuff away. It's really good food. And check out our special website, preparewithbigfoot.com, to get your special deals. And there's different deals that go in there every month. And also, if you've had an encounter, you want to come on the show, you can email us at yourbfstory@gmail.com, or you can hit us at bigfootodyssey@gmail.com. And we appreciate everyone that wants to come forward with their story. Again, you don't have to have some epic Bigfoot encounter to do that. Just come on, talk about what you experienced, and we can get into details, take questions. Some might help someone on the side there. That's the whole idea here. But we appreciate you coming on, Anthony. Danielle, a great show as always. You do a fantastic job here, and hopefully we'll see you guys Friday night, 9 o'clock p.m. Central. Be here.
All right.
We'll see you then.
Take it easy, guys. Night.
Y'all have a good night.